Says we're live on Facebook.
Yes, you are. Just a second. We'll start in about a few more seconds. Yes, you can do that now. Thank you so much.
Okay, I hope we're live.
All right, I'm here.
Oh, you are? Oh, the perfect timing. Very good. I was just about to do an introduction. You've saved them all. So please go ahead.
Right. Actually, I do have some opening remarks first.
Oh.
Yes, no worries. Yes. Okay. So welcome back, everyone. To those who joined us this morning, welcome back. For those who are seeing us for the first time, welcome to the PPE Cross-Disciplinary Program, PPE-XDP talk. We have with us this morning, first of all, Associate Professor Loy Chieh from Philosophy, Associate Professor Luke O'Sullivan from Political Science, Dr. Dunia Chieh also from Political Science, and Professor Lawrence Goethe from Economics. We will be taking questions from all of you using the Zoom Q&A function. Simply click on the Q&A tab and you will be able to ask questions as well as view other questions that have been asked and also vote for them accordingly. I will now pass the time on to Prof Loy and his panel.
Can I just check who is the one who is sharing screen right now?
That'll be me.
Will you be able to help me advance the slides?
Yeah, sure.
Fantastic. Let me get started. Yeah, so I'm going to get the rest to introduce themselves a little bit more later, but let me quickly talk through the program first. So you are here at the talk for PPE. So just a little bit of background about this program. So it was jointly established by the 3 departments of philosophy, of political science, and economics back in 2018, and it became one of the inaugural cross-disciplinary programs, or XDPs, offered by CHS last year, right? So this is meant to be an interdisciplinary program in which students learn a curated suite of skills and insights and tools from 3 very long-established disciplines in the humanities and social sciences. And using these skills and tools, you learn to examine social and political phenomena from those complementary angles and even to integrate those angles in suitable occasions, right? And so what we are trying to do is to create a kind of platform for where students can have opportunities for what we call intellectual cross-fertilization, or to use another term that comes from economics, sometimes they call it intellectual leverage, okay? And perhaps I can get one of my colleagues to explain what that means later, okay? But really our aim is to hopefully produce a new generation of broad-minded, right, policy analysts and thinkers going forward. Thanks, Min-Chin. Yeah. Right. Now, these are the modules that we expect our students to read. Now, I'm not going to go through all the different details, but what I want you to notice are the following points. First, we do have a bit of a prescriptive curriculum in the sense that we don't just allow you to take anything whatsoever. We do expect you to do quite a bit in philosophy, quite a bit in pol science, and quite a bit in economics. The modules that are grayed out are the ones that are kind of there's a particular module that we expect you to do. And then those that are just 2xxx or 3xxx are the ones where you get to choose an elective from those domains. I think just now in the open house talk, someone asked me, can I do more of, say, econs as opposed to the others and so on and so forth? The answer is no. Okay, we do expect our PPE students to be kind of equally well-trained in a cross-section of all 3 disciplines. We don't need you to be very, very deep specialists in the 3, because if that's what you want, you should be single majoring in one of the 3. Right, but we need you to be relatively well-trained in a cross-section, right, of the 3, in the place where the 3 meets, so to speak, right? Thanks. Now, in terms of how it looks like overall, you can see that you can map it onto the regular CHS curriculum. You see that you still have a common curriculum. The major is kind of bigger than the usual normal single degree major because it's a cross-disciplinary major, so it's the size of a double major, and you still have a little bit of unrestricted elective left. It is compatible with NUS College and also the residential colleges, Tembusu, CAPS, RC4, RBRC as well, right? So just to keep that in mind. Thanks, Min-Chin. All right. Some obvious things that are often asked to us, how is PPE-XDP compared to other multi or interdisciplinary offerings around the campus? What I want to say here is, that obviously we are not the only way to study social and political phenomena, or not even the only possible multi or interdisciplinary way to do so. It's just one of the many options you have on campus. So don't get fixated. Make sure that you sort of explore, look at the modules that we are offering, look at the things that we're teaching, and which is the one that fits you a little bit more. If when you are trying to make a choice, I think the important thing here is your interest is more important than what we are actually, right? You must, and in the case of PPE, you must be ready to engage all three. You have to be ready to do philosophy, politics, and economics. If you come to us with a slightly less enthusiasm for one or two of them, to the degree that they're not willing to go as deep as you want you to, then actually this is not quite the right place to be. You want to be sufficiently interested and engaged in all three actually, right? The PPE-XDP is not really about breadth, it's about a targeted depth in the intersection of the three component disciplines. So you're not trying to learn to be, as you were, a generalist, a jack of all trades here. Okay, you do need to go quite deep in very specific things, and you're not doing any less number of higher level modules compared to people in the single degree structures. Okay, in terms of employment prospects, we do aim to prepare graduates for positions in public institutions and private corporations relating to policy and strategy. But in a way, we are also trying not to be too fixated about this, because we know that our students have their own interests and own passions too. I know that at least one of our graduates is probably going to end up working in media, right? And another one is really thinking of going to the social service sector already. I know another one just told me recently that she signed up with a teaching scholarship. So our students are all over. Yes, there are many of them who are very interested in the policy and strategy domain, definitely. And internship modules and other career preparation programs are all available to PPE students as well. And of course, you can Google for this FASS 2.0 industry tracks apply to us as well. Okay. And one of the new initiatives we have launched last year is this thing called the Research Internship Project. So instead of doing the honors thesis, students can choose to do a research internship in a research outfit, maybe even for a bank, maybe for a ministry, and it can count towards an overall package where they pair that with a kind of a research paper they write for NUS, and the whole thing counts as the equivalent of an honors thesis. Thanks, Minjin. Yeah. How do you apply? Look, there are three different ways to come in. You can apply for direct admission via NUS College. So if you come through NUS College, in a sense, I'm going to outsource is kind of not exactly the right word to use, but in a sense, it's a related idea. We're going to trust NUS College to help us do the initial selection. And then once they've done that, the PPE committee will look at the ones that they surface to us. You can also apply directly to PPE without going through NUS College, of course, right? And you can also apply to transfer into the program from the end of your second semester in CHS onwards. Now, all three pathways are available to you. You can go to the website and look at the details, look at all the specific details. If you want to see what was the integrated grade profile like for the last year, you can see that I listed there. You can also see on the websites as well. Thanks. But it's not just about the curriculum, because the curriculum is only the platform for people to meet at the end of the day. Yes, you're learning a lot of things in the curriculum, but it's also a place where students with different backgrounds and interests come together. So the PPE students have always been very gung-ho about this, very motivated about this almost from day one. In fact, it was day -1. Some of these students who formed the PPE club actually started working on it even before they were confirmed as majors. But anyway, there's a group of students very active. Both our students who are with us today, Wei and Anaya, I should get them to introduce themselves. They used to be they are from the PPE club. So please go check them out. They have an Instagram account as well. Yeah, thanks. And these are our website. So please make sure you can screenshot this if you want. And we do have a Telegram chat group for prospective students. Please feel free to go there and ask questions. Senior students can answer them, and those that can't answer, they will basically bug me to answer. So don't worry about it. Right. I think that's it. That's all they have. Right. And yes, we do have a master class that we're organizing, a PPE master class on the 5th of March. So take down this information. It's also on the open house website. And please come and join us at the master class where you get to see one of our instructors, do some PPE teaching. Okay, that's all for the presentation. Thanks very much, Minjin. Let me get my, get all of us who are here, including the students, to introduce themselves so that you get to know, who you are talking to, because we are the ones who are doing QA. So I'm from philosophy, as it was mentioned just now, and been, sort of like the mastermind, the chief culprit behind this, one of the chief culprits behind this for several years already. And, I'm enjoying myself, helping to put this program together and to look after these students. Luke, please. Yeah.
Thanks, Loy. Thanks for a comprehensive introduction as well. I'm sure that's answered a lot of people's questions already. I'm Luke O'Sullivan. I'm from political science. I'm another of the founder members, as it were, of the PPE program. I guess we're very proud. I think one thing Loy didn't say, I think we're graduating our first cohort this year, right? So
yes, one of them is here. Yeah. Okay. Dunya, there you are. I was looking over for you. Yeah.
Hi, Loy. Thank you for your presentation. Hi, folks. I'm Dunya Checker. I'm also from political science, just like Luke. I'm a lecturer. I've been here at NUS for 9 years. I joined the PPE team this year, so happy to be here. And yeah, thank you for coming, and I hope to see some of you guys in next year's PPE cohort.
Fantastic. And Lorenz, of course.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lorenz. I'm a professor at the economics department. And yeah, I'm very excited to be here because I think the PPE program is one of the really sort of special programs that we have in NUS where even though you can look, you will get a good education in many in 3 of the big disciplines in this in humanities and social science. The program is also, I think, very small and cohesive, and I think that's a great opportunity for everybody in that program.
Yeah, thanks. Let's get the students to introduce themselves. Now, we only showed 2 faces because I didn't want to put so many people in the first website, in the opening slide. But actually, we have at least 1, 2, 3, 4 different students here. Kyra, are you here too? Yeah. So let's get Ananya, Jingwei, and Nixon, and if Kyra is not too shy, to introduce themselves. Ananya, please. Yeah.
Okay, sure. So I'm Ananya. I'm a second-year PPE student, and I'm also the president of the PPE club. Yeah, so I just, look after the welfare of the PPE students, and I'm really looking forward to answering your questions and also welcoming some of you in the following academic year. I think maybe either Nixon or Tsingwei can go next.
Okay, I can go next then. So hello everyone, I am Chieh. I am a year 4 undergraduate in PPE program. And like Ananya, I'm also part of the PPE club. So Nixon and I were part of the batch of students that annoyed Prof Loy when we started the club for the purpose of getting a community together at the start. And in terms of interest, I'm interested in international policy. And unfortunately, since I am in the first batch, we do not have the current because I see that somebody asked what is the average salary of a PPE graduate. Apologies, because I have not graduated and a few of us have not as well in year 4, and we don't have that answer, but hopefully we'll have some other questions to answer, and some other answers for you guys later. Sorry about that. Yeah.
No, next up, watching you very closely.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm stumbling over my words thinking about it, but yes, Nixon, do you want to go next?
Nixon, yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Nixon. Like Jingwei, I'm a 4th year PPE student. Like him, I also specialize in political science and international policy and stuff. Yeah, we also did a lot of the PPE club stuff when we were younger, more junior. Yeah, of course we have to pass on the baton to people like Ananya. Happy to answer any questions that you all may have regarding PPE or student life in general at NUS. Yeah, just feel free to ask us in the chat, or just feel free to ask us in the chat. Who else? Kyra, are you here? Kyra? Yeah, Kyra.
Great. Yeah.
Hi, I'm year 2 PPE. Yeah, my name is Kyra. I'm currently part of the PPE club as well, under the leadership of Ananya. She's been a great boss. Yeah, so we're very excited to have all of you joining us in the future. Yay.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, let's take some questions. I think there was a good question just now about why micro is included, but macro is not one of the listed compulsory modules. I think, Lorenz, you kind of answered it, or you want to just quickly talk through that as well? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, so I think micro is really sort of at the foundation of everything in economics, and that's why it makes sense to include it as a required module. And then, of course, if you're interested in macroeconomics or in econometrics, then, you can choose to take additional econ modules at the 2000, 3000, 4000 level. And there you can freely pick what the mix is between micro and macro. So say if you wanted to do a little more macro and econometrics, that's where you can do it.
Yeah, that's right. So it's the choice between what is, as it were, at the clear intersection where we need you to have the training, you cannot escape, right? Where, and then as opposed to things where, no, you should decide what is it you're interested in, right? So does someone asked, why does the PPE curriculum not have a compulsory module on Singapore politics, but Pol Science single major has one? And the answer is actually we do have a Singapore politics requirement, but that slide was getting very crowded, so I didn't want to squeeze it in there. And the reason why I don't want to squeeze it in there is because there are now multiple pathways for PPE students to meet that requirement. You don't have to all do the same Singapore politics module. There are at least 3 different ways in which you can fulfill that. So please check our website. The details are there actually, right? Luke and Dunya, I think we were working on that. We want to make sure that we give the students a bit more choice. Yeah. What kind of internships have PPE students gone for? Jingwei and Nixon.
Sorry, I was typing an answer in the chat regarding a question on regarding some other questions, but anyways, on what internships have PPE students gone for? So for myself, I've been on public sector internships and research institutes and also financial institutions. With regards to the PPE cohort in general, I know people who have gone to tech firms like Shopee and Grab, people who have done internships with the Straits Times and CNA, teaching internships as well. I know people who are teaching now in RI and Nanyang. So there is a wide diversity of options to take for a PPE student. It really depends on what your interest is, but PPE for some is a generalist degree, and really what it trains you is to have a really diverse perspective of the world, or have diverse perspectives of the world, and using that to your advantage will allow you access to many different internships, as many of my peers have done. So Nixon or the other Kara and Nanya, do you guys want to chime?
I think you covered it pretty well. Maybe one thing to add is probably that internships are really out there for you to make the most out of, to grab the opportunity to. So I don't think that regardless of what you study, TP or otherwise, there is definitely an opportunity for you to make the full use of your opportunities. In fact, actually at FASS or CHS, we have a career guidance office, right, that helps you secure internships. And it also helps you to craft your resumes and prepare you for interviews. And so I think that these are opportunities that help you to secure whatever internships in whatever industries that you're interested in.
Yeah, and over the, as we are running this program, we also have, many of us have friends who are working in the various ministries and step boards and companies and all that. Sometimes they will hear about us and then they'll call us up and we'll tell them, offer internships to our students, go do it, right? And those things really do happen, by the way, but we do need you as in students to be the ones driving it, because no one's going to hire anyone just because we tell them to, right? The students have to stand up and say that, I'm interested in this, I'm willing to do this, I'm willing to do the interview, I will ace the interview. These are the kinds of things that I'm willing to do. Here are the things that I'm willing to learn. So someone was telling me that, I won't say which ministry, but and then you will know about this, because of AM's connection, right? There's a ministry that actually reached out to us. They have like a whole bunch of like slots they want to fill, and we help them advertise among the PPE students and more broadly, and they got a whole bunch of them. And one of them was telling me informally, privately, that PPE students are good, right? And also, but here you see, it's not, the program is only half the equation, right? You need to be the ones who are gung-ho out there, looking for these opportunities. We will support you. We will, give you the resources, right? Luke and Dunya, I'm sure that these are the kinds of experiences you had to do with your students. I'm very sure. Yeah. Yeah.
No, absolutely. We are very keen on promoting this, and again, for people maybe thinking of not just PPE but other majors, the internship thing is something we encourage generally in CHS and FASS, not just a PPE thing, but as you say, the most important thing, students being proactive and figuring out for themselves what they want. We will help as much as we can, but we do need you also to get out there and look.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And, again, to reiterate my point, in response to the question, what are the general careers that PPE grads go for? Actually, I should ask the students who are with us, what is it you aspire to, right? What industries are you targeting? Because we know that there is someone who is, we have someone who is already working in ByteDance, right? So we really have quite a diverse bunch of people who have, they're targeting different industries. I don't think people should be pigeonholed. right? But maybe we just go around. Let's start with Ananya. What do you aspire to? Where do you aspire to work?
I think I'm still trying to take the time to figure things out, but as of now, my interests lie in the gender space. So I am pursuing a minor in gender studies, and I think I want to do something in that area, perhaps something to do with, women's rights laws and that kind of space. Yeah, not too concrete on that yet. I'm hoping that I can take the next 2 years to just, figure out and zero in on what it is I really want to do. But that is where my interests lie as of now. And I think just to also link back to what people were saying in response to the previous question, I think it's also really about seeking out the kind of experiences that you want while you're in university and while you have the resources and, the support that you need to really be able to figure it out. I think it's very important to do that. And that's something that I myself am learning to do and hope to, do a little bit more of in the next 2 years. Yeah.
Ziwei Nixon, where do you aspire to work?
I do have to apologize that my path is not as interesting as Ananya. I mean, first and foremost, I am some might call like a typical PPE student, right? I'm planning to do policy. Specifically, I'm interested in geopolitical tensions. So I'm planning to do a master's in international relations in the future, and then I'm planning to go to the civil service or international organizations to work on international cooperation, especially now, I think at the fore of our minds is the issue of Ukraine, right? And looking into how we can bring countries together, looking at how we can mitigate tensions around the world, that is what I'm interested in. So like what Ananya is saying, do take the time to go outside and look, because before I settled down on this plan, I went to different places. Like I was in a bank, I was thinking, I should earn as much money as possible. So you really explore so many different options, and PPE enables you to do that. So don't pigeonhole yourself, really. Go outside and look for what's available. Anyone else wants to chime in?
Well, I'm a lot like Jingwei. We are both, very policy oriented. For me too as well. I'm looking to go into the national defense and security sector, but I'm also interested in research, right, academia, in the civil society, the NGO sector, and as well as the international law. So there are some of the things that I think I don't speak for myself, but also for the rest of my peers, that I think a lot of us have a diverse set of interests. And I think that's the spirit of the PPE students, right? We're all very curious about many things. That's why we are an interdisciplinary program, interdisciplinary community. So I think as what Ananya has been and Xingwei has been saying, I think you should take the chance to use your time here in NUS to really explore what drives you, what motivates you, what keeps you up at night, and follow your heart and your passion. Yeah. Kyra, do you want to chime in?
For me, I'm still exploring my options, I think. Like, I haven't really decided whether I want to work in like the public sector or the private sector. But definitely, PPE has been like a very interesting course. So like, I think it really opens up a lot of options if you study PPE. Yeah. So I was really exploring my options. Yeah. Thanks.
There was a question about the demographics of the student body. So it is a bit of like a cross section of NUS and perhaps FASS and CHS in general, right? Which is kind of it's diverse, but don't overthink the diversity. So I don't know how else to say it, because pretty much we have people who are from different ethnicities and cultures and backgrounds and all the other different dimensions, but it's not a lot of people, right? I don't know whether the students want to add to that, because I don't know how else to say it. It's a cross-section of Singapore and beyond, right? Including international students as well. Yeah, we have at least 2 or 3 students just from Taiwan alone, which is, I don't even know how that happened. So some of these are a little bit hard to predict. Yeah. Anyone want to add to that? Yeah.
I would say we have a good mix of students, like even in terms of gender ratio and the wide variety of interests that all of us share. Yeah, I think like what Prof Loy said, we have a pretty good cross section of what whatever demographics are present in Singapore. And we also have international students, like Prof Loy mentioned. Of course, we try to build a very, very welcoming community. We're very accepting. We have a lot of events as well, just to bond our students together. And I think maybe this question is a little tough to answer because we are not very focused on the sort of like differences that all of us have. I mean, we really come together and we try to focus on the commonalities, and we really bring our students together. So it's not very divided at all. We're very, very welcoming community and very inclusive. Yeah.
And then something else you will learn in any intro data course is that when the cohort is not too large, the variability is going to be a bit more. I mean, outliers are always going to exist, right? So, okay, that's going to skew. That's why I don't dare to present actual percentages, because it's going to skew your understanding, and because it can vary from year to year, right? Right. This brings me to another question. So what's the intake size? Now, we are perfectly happy to take. Now, here's the funny thing, right? So we're actually perfectly happy to take as many people as we feel like they are the kind of students who are able to do this course, right? However, we do have some resource constraints for various reasons, which I won't go into. So probably a general cohort of between 40 to 60 is optimal. I think it's possible. I think that then in that case, we can ensure that everyone is doing small group seminars, especially for the upper year classes. So that's one of the things that we try very hard to make sure of, right? Not everyone need to come in through direct intake. Not everyone came through direct intake, right? In fact, the very first cohort, everyone came through so-called second intake after their first year. So Jingwei and Nixon both came in after 1 year of studies in NUS first, right? So, and we don't see any appreciable difference between the two groups. We really do want to give people a second chance, as it were, right? So you either come in with really good pre-university accomplishments, but it's okay if we can always do it after the first year in NUS as well, right? Luke, I mean, this is our experience with our students, right? In terms of the two groups of students, I can't tell them apart after a while.
No, I mean, I agree. We don't mind how you get here, and we want to give you as many opportunities to get here as you can. I suppose on that note, maybe we can talk about the very first question on the list, which was the essay and video question and what we're looking for. I'd say one thing we're not looking for is to have our own literature recited back to us. If you tell us you really want to do Ph.D, the PPE program, because you're excited about being part of a new generation of multidisciplinary thinkers, we will maybe grit our teeth a little bit. What we found makes a good video is people who have something of a personal or individual explanation for what it was that excited them about the program, in terms of being able to relate it to some specific ideas or experiences that they'd had, and rather than just a kind of generic type of explanation. So what is it specifically about you and about your experience that really draws you to this? That's what we'd like to hear from you about, I think.
Yeah, I just remember, because Luke and I have been reading all those essays and watching all those videos last year, right? And Lawrence and Dunya haven't had this opportunity yet. You are going to be joining us to do that very soon. So please, when you do your essays and videos, please don't just repeat what you read on a website, expect to us, okay? Because it's very obvious, right? Okay, please tell us about yourself. Tell us why is it that you in particular, not the website, want to do our course, right? And there's a good question here that I think the students can answer, right? Why you choose PPE in NUS compared with some other option, overseas or whatnot. I don't know whether any of you are in this situation. You want? I know one of the students from Nixon's batch, for instance. I won't name the person, who decided to drop his origin. He's a scholar, and he was offered a course in a different faculty, in fact. But once he discovered that PPE exists, Nixon, you know who I'm talking about. He basically decided to drop that completely, sign out as a FASS student, got in after the first year as a PPE student. Right. So there are people like that. And I know of another one who started off as a SOC major, Assoc School of Computing person, right? And then after the first semester, he wrote into me, I can't take this. I want to transfer to PPE, right? And then he's still pursuing a computing minor, if I remember. I don't know whether he wants to turn it into a second major, but so he's still a computing person, but he's doing PPE. He's a PPE major with us now, right? But what about the few of you? Why do you choose to come to us? What's so great about us? Jingwei and Nixon, the two of you went first. You all should say.
Yeah, I think maybe I can chime in with it. So I was looking at overseas courses, of course. One of the first things that is of concern to me is whether the course will be immediately relevant to my immediate environment. So if I want to be able to understand my region, my context a bit better, there is a tendency for me to want to choose like a Southeast Asian university simply because we are in Southeast Asia. And because I want to be able to understand policy, then okay, yes, Singapore sounds like a better idea as compared to, for example, the UK or the US. Then, of course, I'm not going to lie, there are also fiscal concerns as well. I was worried with the money. And of course, studying in NUS in Singapore is a lot cheaper as compared to going overseas. That's the second consideration. And lastly, there are significant differences to how the PPE program is structured in NUS versus that overseas. Prof Loy definitely can elaborate on that a bit more. But for example, for the case of Oxford, you are choosing two eventually. For the case of PPE in NUS, you're getting the plethora. You're literally having to understand the bare minimum, and that creates the potential for conversation. Of course, I must also add a pinch of salt that I came in only after I came in to FASS first before I knew about the PPE program. So I'm saying all these things in retrospection about why I would choose PPE again if I do get the chance. But yeah, these were the things in my head. Anyone else wants to chime in?
Maybe I'll offer a different perspective. So I like Ting Wei, who is pretty deliberative about his decision to come to NUS PPE. I, on the other hand, was quite spontaneous about it. I saw the program, I thought it was interesting. I came in and I fell in love with the curriculum. I fell in love with the community here. I thought that, they were very interesting and very welcoming people. And, I just thought that I felt comfortable here. But I think to answer the question more directly, what if you're considering something like PPE and you're considering other programs similar to PPE in other universities, what you're really choosing is not so much the course, differences between the course, but rather the differences between the universities, right? Not just in terms of the university offerings, but also in terms of the softer things like the university culture, or in some universities, the student life. There are a lot of other differences that I think would shadow or tower the minute differences between PPE or PPE-like courses in other universities. I think Prof Loy might be, in a better position to share about this. Then I will be sort of pass the time to you.
No. I want to hear from the students first.
Okay, maybe Ananya, you can go next. Ananya.
Yeah, sure. As for me, I think I had decided I wanted to study PPE a very long time ago. As soon as I heard what PPE was and the fact that such a course existed, just because I felt like before I discovered PPE I was like so confused about what I want to do with my life. And then I saw this course and it aligned perfectly with all my interests and all that I might want to do in the future. And so that was it for me. And that was my that was the point that I decided I wanted to do PPE. As for why I chose PPE in NUS, I think my answer is quite similar to Ting Wei's, because I think I did apply to the UK and to the US as well while I was applying and making my decisions, for what I want to do or where I want to go for university. But I think NUS PPE just really appealed to me because of, firstly, the fact that, it was in Asia and it was at home. And I felt like there was a lot of flexibility in that I could relate a lot of the things that I learned directly to the country that I was in. And it was also kind of linked to what Nixon just now mentioned, the university culture. I felt like NUS PPE allows you to have a lot of flexibility in terms of, the fact that you can double major or that you can pursue minors. It was also the fact that I knew I wanted to get some working experience while I was studying, and it would be a lot harder to do that if you were overseas, just because of your status as an international student. And so that is why I chose NUS PPE, just because there was all this, flexibility in terms of what I could do alongside my studies, and also the real life applications that I could make from my studies. Yeah, so that was it for me. I think in hindsight, I made a really, really good choice, and I'm really happy here, and I'm really excited to continue studying PPE for the next 2 years.
And Ananya works for me as one of my teaching assistants for a different class actually. So
Yeah, there's also that flexibility. I think my top choice after NUS PPE was the UK, and things like these that would not have been possible in the UK just because the system is different, the university culture is different. Yeah, so I think I've gained so much more experience as an NUS PPE student than I would have if I'd gone overseas. And so I definitely have no regrets with respect to staying. Yeah. Maybe Kyra can go next.
To be honest, I was pretty undecided at first. I applied to like architecture, law, and like a lot of random degrees, like all over like different universities. But then I think my main debate was between like I got accepted into SMU Law and NUS PPE, and I decided that I think doing law is like I don't really want to dedicate the rest of my life into like studying something so like narrow, I guess. No offense to anyone interested in law here. Yeah, but I like that PPE allows you to like study broader things. And I can really see after being in 2 years of PPE, like how our society is really like based off of like these three big majors as well. Yeah, and as for why I chose NUS PPE, it's also because of, I guess, the dormitory life here. Because like, if I went to SMU, there wasn't much of a campus life, I feel, as compared to here. So that would be my biggest like deciding factor. Yeah.
yeah, well, thanks a lot, all you students. All these years. Lawrence, please, go ahead.
Yeah, let me maybe add one thing about going abroad. So I do think going abroad is a good idea. Just to broaden your horizon. But so for this, for example, you can go also on a student exchange, which I think is is always a great idea. So so say doing the program, doing PPE here doesn't mean you'll stay in Singapore the whole time. You can also, more and more people also do internships abroad. That's all great ideas.
Chieh, one of your internships was in the Balkans.
Oh, yeah. One of my internships is with an NGO in Bosnia. It was actually researching on international migration patterns and also on the implications of forced migration on mental health. So there are options like this in NUS available, and FASS helps you with it, or in general, NUS helps you with it. Like they give you the funding. Like I was offered $800 a month or something to go overseas with like airfare and all covered by NUS because the NGO might not be able to afford it. So these options are available for you to expand your horizon abroad. And that's not even talking about the exchange programs. So NUS has so many partner universities, right? I have friends in Johnsport right now, and I'm very jealous. And they give funding for that as well. So these are the opportunities that you get to expose yourself overseas with local support while enjoying, in a sense, almost the best of both worlds. And not forgetting the fact that there are also double degree programs in NUS in general as well with foreign universities. So these things are all potential options.
Yeah, I know that another one of the students at year 3, Anel, she was in Abu Dhabi as well. So actually our students do go places as part of the overall education experience, right? So it is, you got to find that right mix of the international exposure and what you want, making the local connections and all that. I from a certain perspective, I even want to say that there may not be a wrong choice anywhere. There are many, many good choices, right? Not everyone needs to come here, not everyone needs to go somewhere else. It's more important for you to sort of have a clear sense of what is it you want more than anything else, right? What will make you happy? Because I want to deal with happy students, right? I mean, the rest, Lawrence and Dunia and Liu, right? We would rather deal with happy students, right? I mean, that's pretty obvious, right? Yeah. Okay, so I want to say a bit about the curriculum structure because I think there were some questions that kind of relate to that. It's not the structure, rather. Now, the majority of the courses you are taking, let me put it the other way around. So there's something like 100 MCs worth of PPE related courses. There is 25 courses altogether out of the 40 in your 4 years for your course, for your overall degree. And of that, a big chunk of it comes from the actual 3 departments. From my department, philosophy, from Luke and Dunia's department, Pol Science, from Lawrence's department, econs. And all 4 of us here offer classes in our own departments as well, right? There was a question that relates to that, right? Now, why is it that we want to do it this way? Why is it that only a portion of the courses that we offer are, as it were, PPE specific? So those are the ones that are coded as PE something something. Those are specially designed for mainly for PPE students, perhaps even just for PPE students. And yes, they are offered for faculty members from Pol Science, from Econs, from Philosophy, but nonetheless, they are designed to be PPE courses. Why is it that we do have this, both sides? Because we need you to actually learn Pol Science and Econs and Philosophy, not pretend Pol Science and Econs and Philosophy, right? We need you to actually learn like actual microeconomics among other economic students from actual economics professors. We have a great econs department, we have a great Pol Science department, and we have a great, a strong philosophy department as well. So why am I reinventing the wheel? Okay, so that is a very deliberate choice in design, not to burden the course with a bunch of modules that to swarm the course with only modules that are PPE specific. In fact, a big chunk of it actually comes from the 3 departments. Yes, there are also a significant part. I believe there are like 7 courses, 7 out of the 25. They are meant to be interdisciplinary. They are meant to be specifically designed for PPE. So those are the ones where you meet your cohort mates a little bit more compared to just everybody else, right? But even then, you never know. There might be random Pol Science and Econs and Philo students. Someone made their way there. So that's not impossible, right? I think Jingwei and Nixon, you guys have taken at least a couple of the PE4Ks, the 4,000 level modules already. I'm sure there are philosophy and Pol Science students there. I'm very sure of it, right? Because they just wander there, or their friends are there, or they are interested in the space, even though they're not PP majors. And that's great too, all right? Do you guys like the 4Ks? Yeah, but anyway, yeah. Will PPE students have reduced NUS College requirements? So this is inherited partly from the USP requirement as well. So if you are in NUS College and you are also a PPE student, you are put together in this category called program with waivers. That means that your NUS College requirement is reduced by a little bit, by 3 modules. Okay, yeah. So that's the simple answer there. So we do expect to integrate quite nicely so that students can do both NUS College and PPE without difficulty. And we have learned from years of experience doing that for the USP program already. So it's not something new to us. Okay. Next thing is on USP, it works, right? But you guys are always overloading and doing so many things. That's your own fault. Yeah. Are there other things that the students want to say before we move on to do you all know any of the poly students? So it's not, okay, none of you are actually from poly, right? So one of the difficulties I wouldn't say difficulty, is just a data illusion, right? So because it's not a very large cohort, it's really not very easy to predict. And it means that usually, the majority will look a certain way. There will be, A-level students and IB students. So I don't actually remember whether we have a poly student, but we totally look at all the poly applications. So there's no issue. We are kind of blind regarding that, right? If they were surfaced to us, we don't really care whether you are A-level or IB or poly. We will just read your essay and watch your video. Okay, so if you're interested, please apply. Okay, we totally have seen those applications before. Okay. Is it possible to get in with 84 rank points? I don't know what to say. I don't know. So don't forget that you have multiple pathways to get in, right? So even if you cannot come in through direct admission, don't forget that you can still come in through the second intake. Okay, so don't have to put everything in your first basket. Okay, yeah, like just to re-emphasize the point, and Luke and I have been at this for several years already. We don't, differentiate between the 2 groups. In fact, they're doing the same things, right? Because by the time you enter the program from year 2 onwards, you're still doing the same classes, so it's not a problem, right? And in terms of the second entry, there are requirements. So we want to make it fair so that you either prove yourself at the pre-U stage or you prove yourself through your first year results. One of these 2 will do. Why do we do this? Actually, I should get our professors to say a bit more. Why do we do selection? Why do we do special admission, right? It's not because we want to, as it were, be high class and we're very, uppity and all that. It's not quite that. It's rather, we want to make sure that you will actually thrive in our program. Luke, remember we were talking about this a while back, yeah, to make sure that.
So is it, I mean, I think this goes back to something you said earlier about wanting to make sure people can cope across the board.
Yeah.
We don't want you to come in and struggle. And some people are just naturally better suited to specialization, and that's fine. But, we need people who are able to show that they're strong across the board. I mean, in a way, ultimately, it's not about the grades, but, we find that on the whole, it's people who have the higher levels of academic attainment who are better able to cope, probably unsurprisingly. But, we really do look at everybody when they apply, and we also do recognize that there are ways to distinguish yourself which are not just purely academic. We want well-rounded students, so we're trying to maximize everybody's opportunities to get in. But partly because the course has been very successful and popular, it has become quite hard to get in. And of course, just the nature of the degree program itself requires something which is a little bit unusual, which is the ability to think in 3 quite different ways at roughly the same level. And, just not everybody is going to fit that bill.
Yeah, not everyone is going to be happy doing that.
Not everybody wants to, sure. Some people are happier with the specialized mentality, and that's fine.
Yeah, and don't forget that it really is all 3. I really need everyone in the program to be able to do the kind of the kind of modeling that is involved in economics. Maybe not at the very, very deep end, because if you want to be that kind of specialist, then you should be an econs major. But nonetheless, at the foundational end, where those skills are being taught, we need you to have that skill as well. That's why those modules are requirement modules, right? And likewise, we really do need you to gain that kind of to gain the skills that are taught in those philosophy and political science courses, right? Yeah, Lorenz and Dunia, what do you all look for? What would you look for in our students?
Well, I thought you said it, Loy. I'm gonna plagiarize from you. I think interest is paramount.
Yeah.
But I do agree with Luke as well. I think your academics is kind of proxy for your stamina, for your ability to endure the program, and your ability to kind of deal with 3, as Luke said, 3 relatively distinct disciplinary perspectives. But as Loy said it doesn't have to be the only only pathway to the program.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Lorenz, you want to add anything? Yeah.
Maybe the one thing I wanted to add is, so Luke already said, don't recite back to us the program description that we put on our websites. And perhaps the other thing, I think more generally, I would say, I'm looking for an independent thought, like what is your take on some issue? And so, don't parrot what the NEA says about a particular topic or anybody else. I'm looking for what's an independent thought that is coherent about an important issue.
Someone asked, is it possible to change major after the first year? And the answer is yes, definitely. Okay, and this includes the PPE students too, who came in by direct admission. And I know many of you have heard me say this before, especially the ones who came in through direct admission, Ananya and Kara. I'm very sure you heard me say these sort of things before. It sounds a bit scary. Come in as a PPE student, if after 1 semester, 1 year, you decided that you rather do something else, please go do something else. Prof Loy is here to cheer you on, okay? No one is going to say that, oh my God, she betrayed us. No one is going to say that, okay? We would rather you pursue what you're interested in, what makes you happy, that where you thrive, okay? So make sure that you come in and do the thing that you are interested to do, and you're willing to do it for the long haul, right? And if you discover that there is psychology or something else that interests you, or maybe even physics, go do that, okay? And we're going to be here to cheer you on. We're going to be saying that go do that, right? Right, Ananya, right? We even know of I think we have 1 or 2 who have decided to do something else. Not that many actually, which is, I actually thought that there will be more by now, but so far still not that many. No, I'm not trying to get rid of students. Don't worry. Okay, that's not the way I think.
Well, it's
Yeah,
proof our selection. Sorry, it's proof our selection process is working in a way, and that people who get in want to stay. I think the point about independence is a great one. You know, one thing I hear a lot from undergraduates generally is like, oh, you know, I'm worried, particularly when they get to higher levels, they're doing an honours thesis or something. Oh, my work's not going to be original. Doesn't matter. The point is you're thinking through it for yourself. It's not originality we care about, certainly not undergraduate level. It's independence. It's that willingness to back your own judgment, trust your own reasoning, have the confidence in your own skills and abilities. That's the kind of student that we want to cultivate, the independent student. I think it's a very good profile description generally.
Yeah. Lawrence, were you going to say something?
No, I just agree. I was just nodding.
Someone asked whether you can transfer for another faculty that is not CHS, for instance, business school after the first year. I'm going to say theoretically, yes, but there are caveats because the selection criteria for the second intake does require you to have the gateway modules of philosophy, of pol science, and econs, right? So if you manage to somehow get those things, I will look at you. We will look at you. Okay. But if you really want to transfer, you know, if you really want to get into PP program and you're not from CHS, the easier thing to do is actually to get into CHS. Okay, just to be clear about it. Okay, but yeah, in principle, the answer is yes. If you have those gateway modules and you meet the other requirements, yes, I will. You know, I will see what I can do to help you. It's not one of the official pathways, but you know, we can always explore these sort of things. So if you are in that state, please write to us directly. Okay. Is PPE more competitive or law? I really don't know how. Law will not release their data to me, I'm very sure. I mean, I know my own data. I know, as it were, how many people applied, how many essays people like Luke and I read last year, and that we're going to visit on Dunia and Lawrence this year, and how many people we offered, how many people accepted. I know all those numbers. I shouldn't tell you. So I have a rough sense of roughly where that is. But law is not going to tell me their numbers, so I can't tell you. Right? It makes sense, all right? You know, yeah. But the fact is that you just heard someone who decided not to go do SMU law and come to us instead. So okay, you know, take that as you will. Okay. Okay, when you apply, so follow the application procedure on the website. Go to the PPE website, CHS and NUS.edu/PPE, right? And follow the instructions there. There's a particular portal you need to go in to submit your essay and your video. So just read that, right? And you know, and if you want to ask questions about advice, you want to ask for advice on the PPE chat group for prospective students, please do that. You know, I'm sure the seniors are more than happy to give you some advice, right? But again, you know, think about what we have said. We have shared so far, right? Is about making sure that we understand you as a person who is interested in our space, right? So it's not really about your achievements per se, right? It's really about you as a person, your interests, right? I see Lynn coming on. So are we supposed to clear off soon or something?
Yeah, whenever you're ready, Prof Loy.
Yeah.
Ready to end, I mean.
Yeah. There are still a few questions that are trickling in, but many of them are about admissions and all that. All I say is that please go and see the website. Okay, look at the requirements there. Look at the IGP and you make some judgment of your own. I think that's the best thing that we can say. Okay, and if you have more questions, go join us in the PPE Prospectives chat group. It's an open Telegram, right? And you know, the link is on the website. Just click on it, you will join. And people like Nixon and Jingwei and Anaya and many others who are all there. And if they cannot answer, they'll bug me to answer. So don't worry about it. They will do it when I know them. Okay, correct or not, right? and you know, there are plenty of seniors who are more than willing to help you. Okay, thanks very much for being here. I'll give the closing words to everybody else. Start from Luke. Go. Yeah.
Well, Lawrence is answering the final question. One thing we maybe didn't say is we are an academic program. You know, how do we differ from, say, public policy and global affairs? You know, we're not a practitioner-oriented program in the first instance. We are, you know, academically aligned. And so if you want something that's directly vocational and professional, this is possibly not the best fit for you, although it doesn't preclude you then going on and taking some more specifically vocational and professional qualification, but we are, in the first instance, an academic program. I think that's probably worth underlining, just in conclusion.
Very good. As I mentioned in the website, we are trying to train thinkers here. Yes, they are going to become doers too. I'm not worried about that, but thinkers first and foremost. We really want to train thinkers. Okay. Dunya.
Okay, final words. All right, maybe in response to one of the questions, I'm interested in high-paying job primarily, just like building from what Loy said, multidisciplinary thinking. I think if you have a primary interest in this, and you really cannot, figure out a choice between these three disciplines, you're somewhat equally invested in pursuing their questions, answers, these literatures, these different perspectives, then I think PP is for you. For the high-paying job for that student, perhaps economics, majoring in economics would be the best route for you. Thank you all for joining.
Yeah, Lawrence. Yeah.
I'm still keeping an eye on the questions here. So yeah, I mean maybe that answers one of the questions. Is it possible to take PPE as 3 majors separately? And so I think one of the differences here is that we try to give you sort of a program that puts the 3 disciplines on an equal footing. Say, of course, if your main interest is in economics and you want to know a little bit about philosophy and political science, you can just major in economics and do that too. Or for any of the other 2 disciplines, you can do the reverse. But I think this is sort of the unique thing, that we try to put this on equal footing, and that's what makes the PPE different.
Okay, we're out of time. Let's just all wave and say goodbye, and we hope to see you around for the rest of the day in other sessions. All the best.
Right, yes. Thank you, Prof Loy and the PPE panel for the very insightful discussion. Before we conclude, we would just like you to participate in a quick poll, please. Yeah.
Yeah, so the poll should pop up on our screens in just a moment. So the poll is really just for us to collect some feedback on these sessions to find out if they've been helpful for you, and hopefully they have been. So please, yeah, just help us to do the quick poll. It's a really quick 4-question poll. So we'll keep it open for a short while. But as everyone takes some time to do this poll, just to highlight some of the other talks that we have coming up, we do have a couple of very exciting panels happening today. Right after this, we have a student panel, so you'll be able to hear from some of your peers. So just as you've heard from them in this session as well. So they'll be talking about their own experience after choosing NUS. So we hope to see you there. Later on at 1 p.m, there is also an industry forum. So we'll be hearing from some employers. And yeah, so you can pick up some insights from industry veterans from places like SPH, GXS, and Greenology. And so, yeah, we really hope that you'll join us at 1 p.m. To hear what they have to share. Okay, so our poll has closed. So thank you all very, very much for taking part in this, in our poll, and for joining us for this session. Now, if you have any further questions regarding PPE, you can visit the CHS PPE page at chs.nus.edu.sg/PPE. Yeah, chs.nus.edu.sg/PPE.